Okay, so it's Saturday, and Saturday is usually project day. Today's project, I need to fix my power washer. I've had this power washer for a long time. I don't remember how many years, but it's worked well for me. A few years ago, I replaced the engine. It originally had a Honda engine, and when that thing threw a rod, I priced the new Honda engine for it, and it was like $600. So instead, I went to Harbor Freight and got this Predator engine for, I think it was $100 at the time, and bolted right up, went on perfectly, and has worked great for me. So now, I think I need to replace the pump unit. It just doesn't have the pressure that it used to have. And in looking at it now, I'm wondering if I've already replaced this once before, because it looks like there was some kind of mounting here. Maybe that was the previous pump section. I don't remember, but anyway, I've got a new pump I just got that I'm going to install. And hopefully it's a simple thing. It really only has 4 bolts that hold the pump to the engine, and then some of these things have to be taken off the old one and put on the new one. But other than that, it should be a simple replacement. So I think I'll get into it and see what I run across. Okay, so I got the 4 bolts taken out. Mine were 1/2 inch on my unit here. So I got these 4 bolts out. Now it looks like this thing should just pop off. It's running on the shaft of the engine, so it should just pull out this way and come right off. Okay, so just like I said, this thing is just on the shaft of the engine right there, and it will pop right off, but what's keeping it on is this siphon hose right here that goes through the bottom of the frame of this washer thing. So I just need to snip off this zip tie and pull that hose off, and then this pump unit should just pull right back and off. Okay, so we got the pump taken off now, and it was, like I said, pretty easy. It just rides on this shaft, and there's a keyway that goes into a certain spot. You can see on the new one, a little space there. That keyway thing right there has to go in that slot, and that's what keeps it, rotating with the engine. So I'm really happy that the unit I bought is pretty much identical to the one I'm taking off. I was a little concerned because I didn't even check the engine when I ordered the new pump. I just thought for sure this was a 3/4 inch shaft. I kind of remember it from when I replaced the engine, and turns out, yep, that's exactly what it is. So this pump unit, it's practically a exact replica of the one I'm replacing. A few little changes, but it should be easy to replace it, because I just need to take off some of the extra parts that I put on here and put it on the new one and put the new one in place, and we'll be back up and running. See, on the bottom, it's even got the same pickup part where the siphon hose connects, in case you want to, add like soap to your spraying. So it's got the siphon hose on the bottom. Just attach that, and where you connect your garden hose and where you connect the pressure washer. The union connector for the pressure washer hose I have to remove and reinstall here. So that should be no big deal. So I think I'll bolt this new pump onto the engine. I think I have a new keyway to put in there. And once that's in place, that'll make it easy to replace these parts too. So we'll go from there. I've used this pressure washer for a lot of things over the years, and it's served me well. A lot of cleaning projects, of course, and all around the house, and did a lot of work on my car with cleaning off rusty panels and stuff. And I also purchased a sandblasting unit that connects to your power washer, and it picks up sand and shoots it out with the water. And so you're doing like a high pressure sandblast, and you're not getting all the dust of regular sandblasting. You do get kind of a beach from the sand, but it really worked great for sandblasting the frame on my old Chevy pickup here. When I had the body off, I sandblasted the whole frame and repainted it. So power washer came in handy for that. All right, so I took the old keyway out of the shaft there. I had to use wire cutters to grab hold of it and pry it out of the groove that it's in. And then I cleaned it all up, got all the grease out and all that. And the kit came with new bolts and washers and 2 different key pieces to use. Now the one I took off was the longer length, so I'm just going to use the longer one. Put that in, and then it tells you to use a little bit of anti-seize compound on the shaft, I suppose, so that the new pump doesn't get, you know, stuck on there in case you want to replace it later, which I will do. This anti-seize compound, it's just weird stuff because it does the trick. It doesn't allow things to get connected together, but for some reason it spreads everywhere. If you're not careful, you put a little dab of it somewhere, and all of a sudden you're finding it all over the place. It just suddenly appears. I don't know how it does it, but you have to be really careful with it. And these new bolts, they have like a hex head on them, which is nice because they don't like strip like a regular bolt head would. So I think I'm going to go with the new bolts, even though they're a little bit longer than the ones I had on before. But I tried them in there, and there's no problem with how deep they go in. There's plenty of room in there, so they'll work fine. I'm just going to go with them. So I'm going to assemble the keyway, put a little anti-seize on there, and stick the new pump onto the engine, bolt it in with my 4 new bolts. So with every project, there's always some issue. And now, of course, I've run into it. The new keyway that I put in, which was a little bit longer than the original one that I took out, I thought it would work fine, but I think it's too long and it's sticking out of the shaft too far in the back. You can see it's thinner here than back here. This thing is sticking out this way too much. So when I try to put the pump on, it'll only go on so far because this key isn't going into the shaft enough to let the whole pump go on. So I guess I can't use the longer one. I'm gonna opt for the shorter one. So that must be why they give you 2. So the shorter one should fit in there just fine. It'll recede into the shaft to give me enough clearance to put the pump on. So live and learn. Thought I'd go with the long one, but it didn't work, so good thing they gave me the short one. If it didn't work, if I didn't have the short one, I'd probably just put the original one back in. But since I got a new one, I might as well use that. And this is how I use the wire cutters to get the keyway out. It's a good way. It's able to grab it pretty well and then just leverage it out. Okay, so I realized that I needed to put the pickup hose on, attach it before I put the thing on the engine, because otherwise this thing would be way down underneath here and be a lot more difficult to deal with it. It's so much easier to put it on when it's, you know, easy to get to. So I put a new zip tie on there, and now I'm going to bolt the engine, or bolt the pump to the engine. Okay, so the connectors that come with the pump, they're not the right size to accommodate my existing hose connector. It's just a different size piece. So I need to take this one out. And I took this out of the old pump, and you need to thread that in right there. And it's the same thread, fits perfect. The issue is I need to cover these threads with Teflon tape in order to prevent any water from leaking out of this connection. This pipe thread was kind of rusty when I pulled it out of the old pump, so I put it on my wire wheel on my bench grinder. I've got a wire wheel on the bench grinder, and that cleaned it up real nice. So I've got nice clean threads, and once I cover it with a couple wraps of Teflon tape, then I can screw it in and get a nice watertight connection. Okay, so now I've got my Teflon tape wrapped around the threads. Got like three layers on there, and now when I thread this in, it should give me a nice watertight connection. Hand tighten it, then I'll tighten it with a pipe wrench on here and just tighten it in nice and snug. Okay, so there we are. New pump's installed. Got this tightened in there nice and tight, and took off the protective cap that was on here, and we're ready to connect the hose up. And once it gets a little warmer outside, I will pull it outside and take it for a test run. See how much more pressure I have. So it was pretty simple. Didn't use any really complicated tools or anything. And didn't take very long to do it at all. An easy repair. I think I might take that thing apart just for kicks and see what it's like inside, and see what it is that wore out in it to make it less pressure. Might be interesting.